Many months ago, I found this used HP PC for the price of one deluxe edition of Starfield. These HP PCs were probably sold in the early 2010s for office workers, and are now available in spades across internet retailers. This particular model has a meaty Intel Core i5 4570 CPU, 8 mighty gigabytes of RAM, and a fat 495 gigabytes of storage. No graphics card. Let's not get crazy here. It even generously came with a mouse and keyboard that, when you type on it, sounds like a toddler smashing two McDonald's toys together. Probably made in the same factory. Let me ask you a question. Do you think this thing was made there too? I like to believe that one of you watching actually tried to play Skyrim on this very computer in your workplace in the mid-2010s. Here is the goal. Get Skyrim to run on this computer with consistently around 30 frames per second, and get it to look as good as possible in the process. Why 30 frames per second? Well, if it's good enough for Starfield on the console, it's good enough for me. I also have a very special method of getting the most out of Skyrim on a low-spec PC in the second half of this video. I'm going to do what Bethesda was not brave enough to do. Get Skyrim to run on the PlayStation 1. Bethesda, there's still money to be made. There's still a chance to sell Skyrim Retrogression SNES Edition. Starting up the game on medium settings, we're already getting a nauseating frame rate in the opening sequence. Ugh, it's making me sick. Do any of you guys have a bucket? Ugh. Well, obviously, we're going to have to select the lowest settings Bethesda has to offer. Then it will work, surely. And we're still getting a very pathetic frame rate. Well, if there's one thing the gaming industry has taught me, if you keep getting disappointed, it's time to lower your standards even more. Or in this case, our resolution to 1280 by 720. Unfortunately for the common office worker bro in 2012, even at the lowest setting Bethesda offers, and with a downscaled resolution of 1280 by 720, the frame rate rests at a pathetic 26 frames per second. Fun fact, the lowest standard frame rate for video-based media today is 24 frames per second, several frames higher than some of my earliest videos. So, 26 frames is the best we can get on the lowest settings without downscaling to a comically low resolution of 840 by 840. Time to give up, right? Wrong. You thought low settings were the lowest. No. We can go lower. It turns out there's this little mod called Beth INI, which allows you a streamlined way to adjust the settings contained here, which include the parameters for all kinds of things like view distance, shadow resolution, lighting quality, all kinds of useless features that distract from what real gamers care about. The gameplay.
What a waste. Watch what you're doing!
All we have to do is run Beth INI, then select the lowest settings. And just like that, we're cruising at a luxurious 34 frames per second. Xbox players can't even. Look at you, playing Skyrim with your $1,000 computer when there are people starving in Africa. You disgust me. Although I had to tweak the object fade in the game settings so that rocks would stop blatantly phasing in very obviously right in front of me. Also, getting shot at by an invisible person is a bit annoying, so you're going to want to increase all of those sliders ever so slightly. So there you go, a very playable Skyrim on a $100 computer. But wait, you thought that was all we were going to do? You'd be wrong. You really are a dumb asshole, aren't you? There's still more we can do to get this bad boy to look better. Hard to believe, I know. It turns out that there are these files on the World Wide Web called mods that help us make the game even better than it was to begin with. And despite what Bethesda may lead you to believe, they are in fact free. So I selected some mods to increase the frame rate, strategically increase texture resolution in places, and improve things like lighting to give this ultra-low graphics version of Skyrim a slightly more pleasing visual style. And even though I have a fire extinguisher on standby, I've opted not to install an ENB because doing so would likely cause this little computer to burst into flames. So first, we're going to add Vivid Weathers, as it is a mod that massively improves the lighting, colors, and weather effects in the game without reducing the frame rate nearly at all. Vivid Weathers is seriously my favorite visual mod in any recent Bethesda game that doesn't hamper performance at all. There have been many times I've played Fallout 4 without an ENB on my livestream, and people routinely ask me what my ENB is when all I have installed is Vivid Weathers. No performance loss, so it is a must-have. And since Skyrim's default lighting looks like a painting that was left out in the sun too long, the color tweaks are much appreciated. I also added the Noble Skyrim Retexture mod, as it really cleans up the visual appearance of things like buildings, landscapes, and dungeons. In this case, I'm using the performance version of the mod, meaning the textures are a mix of 2K and 1K resolution. I don't know how, but this mod somehow makes staring at planks of wood interesting. I also installed aMidianborn Book of Silence, which upgrades the textures of things like weapons, armors, and creatures. Low-resolution spiders just don't hit the same. And I also added Rustic Clothing for significantly nicer looking clothing textures along with it. Additionally, I've tossed in Realistic Waters 2, specifically the quarter resolution version of the mod. In my opinion, Realistic Waters 2 massively improves the very fake looking vanilla bodies of water with more true to life detail and variety. There is no drop in performance between vanilla water and the downscaled version of Realistic Waters. Worth noting that wading into water is the only time my game's frame rate drops into the mid-20s. Look, before I hear your complaints, put it in perspective. It is Skyrim. Random frame drops are just part of the way the game runs anyway. Maybe sometimes this game isn't really a fluidly moving series of images. Maybe sometimes, even on a $2,000 PC, it looks like a slideshow randomly. Things like that build character.
Dude, I feel like I'm playing like a freaking totally different video game. It's crazy. It's so crazy! Oh, no! Oh, no. It's still the same old Skyrim.
By the way, you may have noticed there are some weird lines that show up breaking apart the image in my recording of Skyrim in this video. That is because I'm using a $20 capture card to record the gameplay. If you have a problem with that, visit patreon.com/Koubitz. One mod that has helped me gain a couple more frames when interacting with water has been FYX Water Mesh Optimization, which basically reduces the amount of unnecessary water meshes that are loaded around you. So, less slideshow, more stop-motion animation. By installing eFPS Exterior FPS Boost, I was able to score an additional frame while walking in water. Yippee! Look, nobody said you had to go snorkeling in Riverwood. Another performance mod that helped me gain several more frames in certain locations was the low-res Particles and Flora mod. What it does is in the name. Simply downgrades the particle size of different visuals in the game, like smoke, flowers, and certain spells. Also added into my list that significantly improves the visual appearance of Skyrim is Fantasia Landscapes. Even though Noble Skyrim and Fantasia retexture similar things, I find that they complement each other well and cover more visual bases together, so to speak. Plus, this mod is so bright and happy looking, and I need that kind of energy knowing in my heart that there is no hope for the next Elder Scrolls. An absolute must for the appearance of landscapes is also a mod called Blended Roads, which fixes the blocky contrasting appearance of vanilla roads, which is just awful to look at. Another mod that fixes some visual clunkiness in the base game is the Static Mesh Improvement mod. It basically makes things like ropes look like actual ropes and not polygon monstrosities. It changes all kinds of miscellaneous items like lanterns, quills, benches, and so on. For me, there were no noticeable frame drops. So it is basically a visual upgrade that probably should have existed in the Special Edition to begin with. Turns out the Special Edition was just a way to Trojan horse in microtransactions. Thanks again, Bethesda. On the topic of the vanilla game, I also added SkyUI. Not because it actually improves graphics at all, but because the default inventory management system makes my eyes bleed. Remember, you need the extension SKSE for this to work. It is also worth installing the Unofficial Skyrim patch for similar visual tweaks. When it comes to the appearance of NPCs, something you stare at quite a lot up close in the game, I installed the Eyes of Beauty to upgrade their eyes, superior lore-friendly hair to make their hair still look vanilla style, but less disgustingly blocky, Hvergelmir's aesthetics beards for a similar improvement to NPC beards. Plus, I like tempered skins for females and Skysight Skins for males, and in my case, I'm using the non-nude versions. And importantly, I have been using a brand new armor set because I've been playing this game for well over 10 years, and I'm just kind of tired of the vanilla armor sets. And it's called Elmlock armor. And despite the addition of these lighting and texture mods, it turns out my 8GB RAM stick is barely breaking a sweat. Can't say the same for the CPU though, and we're averaging a bit over 30 frames per second. This is what Skyrim on the Switch could have been. Nintendo, reach out. So it's pretty incredible what modding can accomplish, huh? Despite every attempt Bethesda has made to turn them into microtransactions, independent mods will never stop rocking. This is only the beginning. We shall mod it in France. We shall mod it on the seas and the oceans. We shall mod it on the beaches. We shall mod it on the landing grounds. We shall never surrender.
Wait, where'd my horse go? What the hell?
Whoa! Ah!
What the? Oh my god. I got a part spectral horse. How do people dislike this game? It doesn't make any sense. Look, see, because this looks good-ish, except for the LED over there. Don't look at that. Otherwise, looks pretty good. Yeah. Get me out of here! Get me out of here! It's so bright. It hurts my eyes so bad. Can you guys believe that you go to me for modding advice? What does that make you? A bunch of idiots? Press 1 if you agree. Ha! You're out here laughing at my modding incompetence. In reality, why are you here? For my expertise, dumbass.